And Crater's Claw's got a cookie on it much nicer than Banefire's.
Yeah, I think +2 damage is well worth any hassle and any hoop you would have to jump through to turn it on. Especially considering that turning on is what you actually want to be doing anyway.
Yeah.
So Richard's going to lead off with a Wooded Foothills and a Tri-Land from Jadine. Fetch lands.
They are back.
Yeah.
No, they are easier to play with this time.
Yeah, sure. No more, waiting on Brainstorm to figure out how you're best to use.
Trust me, man. In Legacy, my Wooded Foothills do not take long to resolve.
Oh yeah, that's true.
The player has a lot of control over how long it takes.
That's fair. In this case, Wooded Foothills this Wooded Foothills probably slightly more complicated than one of yours even, because he could have got a forest.
Yeah, he has 2 options.
2 whole options. So gonna fetch up a mountain and then ramp up with Sylvan Caryatid. I think Sylvan Caryatid was kind of the de facto best card in the format, or possibly the defining card of the format going into this week.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see if it kind of retains its crown or if other strategies start to make noise.
Well, it's more about, I think, Corsair Krufix being one of the best default week 1 cards.
Sure.
And, Sylvan Caryatid slots in right alongside that one.
Okay. Turn 3 morph from Richard. We mentioned Sagu Mauler. I don't believe... Oh, there are, of course, the 4 Rattleclaw Mystics.
Yep, which I believe is the card face down.
All right. Just a little bit of a jockeying there. So, and that's a Magma Spray at end step, so we're going to immediately get rid of that morph. And oh, actually, in the main phase then.
Yeah, I think Jadine has just missed a land drop here.
Oh, yeah. So that did not, that turn 3 was not where Jadine wants to go, I don't think. Although it does at least keep the board clear of any attackers, so.
And Richard, if what I saw of his hand looks correct, did mulligan and has no real action here. He just has lands, another Rattleclaw Mystic, so Jadine, for the time being at least, can afford to miss some land drops without getting too far behind.
Yeah, and it's a question of what morphs did she see in game 1, which of course we don't know, but if you've seen Sagu Mauler, you have to be kind of terrified of any morph.
Oh, for sure. I think she's going to kill them all as fast as possible.
Yeah.
But
she had, in theory, 1 turn's leeway with the last one if it was Sagu Mauler, but if Richard is going to follow up with a second face-down Rattleclaw Mystic, which it looks like is what he's going to do, then you have to kill that on the spot.
For sure. Though, maybe you don't buy it at this point, because Richard's in a spot now where he could just hard cast a Mauler.
Okay.
So, maybe you're willing to say that's probably just another Rattleclaw Mystic face down. Maybe you don't care very much. It's a risk. Don't get me wrong,
yeah.
but.
And I'm trying to think what other morphs could be represented here. Of course, we have the luxury of Richard's deck list, so we know what the threats are here. But there could be any number of strange things emerge out from under that shell. But Jadine says keep it for a turn, and is just going to cast a Rabble Master and make the sacrificial attack of Cedric Phillips.
Mm-hmm. Poor guy.
I know.
Weekend off and still no comfort.
It's a rough life, huh, Ced? I know he's watching. So Rabble Master on board. Jadine next turn will get you untap with Rabble Master, which is a significantly improved position. And Richard doesn't look like he has a way to punish. Is this going to get in with his Grey Ogre? I don't expect to see a trade there.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense for Jadine to block if it's either the Mystic or the Mauler, so you just kind of have to let it through.
It's either not worth trading with or definitely not going to trade. Okay, and a pretty significant follow-up there for Richard. Polychronos, the World Eater, going to come down.
It's the type of card he's looking for here. And does Jadine have any copies of Chain of the Rocks on her list anywhere in the 75?
There are none in the main deck and none in the board. Going over the sideboard real quickly, trying to find an answer. Deflecting Palm cannot redirect to creatures, I believe, can only redirect to players.
Correct.
So that's not an answer. Yeah, actually, no one-card solution to Polychronos in her 75. Several ways to kind of Frankenstein up an answer.
Yeah.
It's by combining 2 removal spells or using a creature plus a God's Willing or a Titan Strength, something like that. But
nothing easy. It's all hard mode.
Yeah, we're going to have to jump through some hoops to get that Hydra off the board. JD's going to swing in with her 1/1. She has no choice in the matter, but this time Richard chooses not to risk his 5/5 against, again, something like a Titan Strength or a Jeskai Charm, something like that. But no solution. Passes, and now it's Richard getting to untap with the powerful threat in play. 7 mana. Could kill off the Rabble Master if you'd like. Has to play into some tricks to do that. So it looks like he is taking a moment to consider, like, do I want to attack first? What do I need to worry about?
I mean, these spots, it's pretty safe to use Pelugrinos for as much as possible because you're not, as long as the power and toughness on creatures is the same, it's not like you're trading up into any additional tricks.
Sure. The other big perk here actually is that Jadine she's stuck on 3 lands, but she's stuck on Tri-Land Plains,
yeah.
which significantly means that Jeskai Charm is actually not on the table here.
Right.
So responding to the activation by putting Pelugrinos on top, that's not something that Jadine's capable of right now. I think probably the worst case scenario with an activation, and it looks like Richard is actually going to pull the trigger on an activation for 2. The worst case scenario here for Jadine would be, or for Richard, would be God's Willing. Okay. Stoke the Flames is actually not enough to kill the Pelugrinos. So that went to the head.
Okay. That means that Jadine may have a Mantis Rider in her hand. If she's able to deploy that, then the race is legitimate because the Pelugrinos has been used, and Richard can't really block the air for the time being.
No. Well, the race is going to be tough still.
Well, you know, if you imagine Richard's card in hand as a land,
right,
and the morph is a 2/1 or a 2/2 face down for the whole game, then you got a shot.
Sort of.
Richard has to miss everything for forever, but it's not impossible.
You also had to have the Mantis Rider, which Jadine did not.
Right.
So she's just going to play her 4th land and pass. She does have a blue source now. Well, a second colored source, a 3rd color. But just sitting on answers. Richard going to fire off Storm Breath Dragon and come crashing in. Jadine has to have an answer. Presumably she has 1, but she actually has to have multiple answers.
And I imagine what we're going to just see here is the Jeskai Charm you alluded to before.
Jeskai Charm cannot target Storm Breath Dragon, of course. It only buys time. It does not permanently solve the Pelugrinos problem.
In some ways, makes it worse.
Yeah, and you're still dead on board to that Storm Breath Dragon. So, Jeskai Charm, as good as it is at making you die, not this turn, it does not do much about keeping you from dying next turn. It looks like. So Jeskai Charm was cast. Pelugrinos was targeted. Storm Breath Dragon and that mystery 2/2, which we are almost positive is Radical Mystic, are cracking in. And it's unclear actually she has to be blocking as well because she's targeting the Pelugrinos. So presumably she is then taking the other 6 rather than chump blocking. I don't think the Goblin's going to do much on offense or defense.
Right.
I feel like we're kind of in garbage time at this game.
Yeah, garbage time is a good descriptor. We're playing out the stretch.
Right. So JD's going to get an untap and a draw, takes a peek, and picks him up.
Yeah. I mean, even in that spot, she could hypothetically stoke the Storm Breath Dragon, kill the morph, and then maybe find some way to bob and weave around the Pelugrinos for the rest of the game, but it's worth taking the draw step there because there's some combinations of card where she can stay in the game.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
Wasn't happening.
Yeah, certainly, like, there would be no reason to begrudge Jadine playing that one out.
Right, for sure.
But she did arrive at the point in which she was for sure dead and then moved on. All right, so while these players are shuffling up for game 3, I want to talk a little about the next couple of weeks and some organized play offerings that Star City's got coming up.
Yeah, we have two big weeks in front of us after this tournament, which is already big enough because we have the Open here and the Open in Indianapolis. Next weekend, we're going to be in Orlando for the Grand Prix, which is really exciting. It's going to be the first really big CL tournament with Konstantar here. It's going to be really fun to cover. I have a lot of homework to do about card names, but I'm going to slog my way through it.
Have you seen Matthias's flashcards yet?
Yeah, he showed me his cheat sheets. He's putting in work. The following weekend, the Pro Tour weekend, if you're not qualified, Star City Games is offering its stage championship as well. This is another opportunity to play with the standard decks that you're seeing on camera right now, or we'll be able to go through the Indianapolis records when those get posted as well. If you want more information, starcitygames.com/states for more info. October 11th and 12th, so make sure to check your local state to make sure that you're going on the right day.
Yep.
And again, this is occurring Pro Tour weekend, so if you're not already qualified, you're looking for a big standard tournament to play in, this will be a lot of fun, and you can go ahead and compete for points and prizes and that medal you see on the screen.
And a medal.
And a medal.
Yeah, a medal, and actually we see this water wizard. I don't know how to describe her, but the image you're seeing right now actually is the playmat for the state championships. Illustrated by Kristen Plesko. It is actually, it forms a like wider picture when placed next to the previous state championship playmat.
Oh, very cool.
So really cool to kind of watch that take shape as well.
So if you get both of the playmats, then you can put the puzzle together.
Not only do you have the double dip bragging rights of being a two-time state top 8 competitor, but you get to have the picture to prove it. As you mentioned, starcitygames.com/states. The website you want to go to check out information for that. If you want more information about Grand Prix Orlando, www.magicgrandprix.com.
I think it's Magic GP.
Magic GP, sorry.
MagicGP.com. But very excited about that event.
Yeah. We're here in New Jersey seeing the first week of Cons of Tarkir Standard. This is kind of Cons coming out party for Constructed. I think next week is very much going to be Cons' coming out party for Limited.
And players have typically really enjoyed playing, gold formats, whether it's Ravnica, whether it's Shards of Alara, and I think this one's going to be very well received as well. So.
Yeah, I think so too. Have you played any Limited with Cons yet?
I played in the pre-release.
Okay.
I haven't gotten to draft yet, but we fly into Orlando a day early.
Sure.
And I'm going to be in the side event area all afternoon on Friday getting my drafts in.
Yeah, absolutely.
My last little bit of crash course of homework before the test on Saturday and Sunday.
Isn't that awesome that you actually get to justify all of your Magic playing as like preparation for actual work? Yeah,
no, that's what Magic Online when it goes live, I'm going to be building mono black aggro and trying to tune that list a little bit. So it's all work.
Absolutely,
but it's fun work.
Yeah,
just like this.
So you roll up your sleeves and shuffle up and present.
I do a lot of work, but it's all fun work. It's a pretty good place to be.
Yeah, living the dream.
A dream of sorts.
Okay, sure.
I have numerous dreams, so I wouldn't want to narrow down to just the one thing.
Sometimes they get interrupted at 3 a.m. by a fire alarm.
Yeah.
And we see Richard taking a peek at 7. I believe Jadine also happy, so gonna lead off. That's Mountain. That is a miscut Ice Age Mountain?
Yeah, I can't tell if that's Ice Age or if that's a foil Arena land.
Okay, sure.
But I believe it is an Ice Age one.
Either way, I'm impressed. So, tap land for Richard. No Elvish Mystic. Remains to be seen if he will have the Rattleclaw or the Sylvan Caryatid to get his ramp on. And a tap land for Jadine, so still no threat, although Seeker of the Way, her actual only way to get on the board before turn 3 anyway.
And it wouldn't surprise me if that card got sideboarded out because attacking on the ground is really hard to do against Green Devotion lists.
Well, having said that, we did see Goblin Rabblemaster last game.
Rabblemaster is kind of a different animal. You can generate a lot of tokens and start pushing through.
Sure.
Rabblemaster also, when it's uncontested, can get up to 5, 6, 7 power and start brawling.
It ends the game a lot quicker, I suppose. Mantis Rider, on the other hand, does not care in the slightest about what you have on the ground. Jadine happy to slam that into play and swing for 3.
And this is a card that Richard's list is not that well suited to fight against. We saw Reed's list earlier on camera. He's playing with Arbor Colossus. That's a big help against Mantis Rider. No such elements in Richard's deck. He does have Blue Chronos that can fight it. He's got a copy of Hornet Queen. He's got 2 copies of Crater's Claws. So he has some sideways or some inefficient answers to this card, but it is a problem.
Yeah. Crater's Claws would do it. if he has it, which I don't believe he does, unless it's that card tucked up the top there. But this is the window. You mentioned earlier Mantis Rider, a card that gets a lot scarier once you get to untap with it, because the decks in this color combination tend to have a lot of tricks up their sleeve, I think. So you'd really like to deal with it now, but it looks like Richard is not going to be able to do that. Going to drop a Courser of Krufix, show the bad news that's coming next turn.
So Richard's list in the sideboard, and I believe in his hand, 2 copies of Ranger's Guile. I'm interested to see if that can come up this game. Because if Richard's able to play Stormbreath Dragon with Ranger's Guile protection, that's very hard for Jadine's deck to beat. A lot of her creatures and various cards are white. A lot of her answers are white. Mantis Rider is white. So, if he can have the Ranger's Guile to fight the one Stoke the Flames or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, Stormbreath Dragon is actually pretty difficult for Jadine to beat on its own. You mentioned Stoke the Flames. Other than that, she's, again, basically looking at, like, kind of a Frankenstein solution. Magma Spray plus Lightning Strike, Chandra plus Lightning Strike, something like that.
Right.
Especially if you get to respond to one of those 1-for-2s with a Ranger's Guile, that would be a game-winning play. Richard's going to untap, draw the Stormbreath Dragon. Don't know if he actually has the 5th mana source currently.
Yeah, he has a Wooded Foothills in hand.
All right.
Which is, does he want to shuffle away the Mauler? I believe the answer is yes.
Yep.
Because he's under the gun here and it's not blocking anything. Then is he willing to commit his whole turn to casting a Stormbreath Dragon, risking something like Stoke the Flames?
Sure. Well, Stoke the Flames or actually Jeskai Charm. Well,
the Jeskai Charm can't touch it because of pro-white.
It can... yes. I'm getting my charms confused. Yeah. I was thinking it had a mana leak move. That is Temur Charm.
Yeah. Do not worry. It's week 1 and knowing all the charms ready to go is tough. But the Stormbreath Dragon is, does Richard want to try to play this with Ranger's Guile protection? He has a second one in his hand, so he does have the luxury of throwing away one in hopes of maybe drawing out a removal spell and having the second one be good to go. But he doesn't have another mana source right now, so there's no guarantee he even gets access to that line to play the following turn.
Right. And I feel like you've just got to jam it here. As we mentioned, Jadine's answers to Stormbreath Dragon are a little thin. Just the Stoke the Flames in the main deck, I suppose. Okay, no. I was wondering if she maybe had some counter spells of some kind post board, but no.
The thing is, this line of play is only really a disaster if Jadine has basically Stoke the Flames right now, and then Richard misses a land drop the following turn. That's a lot that has to go wrong.
And I wonder if maybe the actual point of debate there is, am I willing to give up Sagu Mauler?
Yeah, and this may be the other line of play. Well, what's nice about this line of play is it gives Richard the maximum shots to find mana source number 6 the next turn.
True.
Because if he caps out for Stormbreath Dragon right now, he loses the Wooded Foothills, he's down a shuffle. That may allow him to find mana number 6 and play the Stormbreath Dragon. So even though this isn't a reprieve, it's very conservative in terms of allowing him to find the appropriate mana next turn.
All right. Jadine's going to take advantage of that. Firing off a Lightning Strike at the end step, untapping, cracking in for 3. Richard down to 10.
And that's the risk with this line of play, is that it may not even matter if he finds mana number 6 now.
Right.
Jadine might just burn him out.
Yeah. You jump through that hoop to avoid having your Stormbreath Dragon eat a Stoke the Flames, but...
Which you don't even know is in Jadine's hand for sure.
Sure. Yeah, you don't know
what you're playing
it.
Around.
But even if you assume it's there, then you can't use Ranger Guile to protect your face from a Stoke the Flames.
Exactly. It would be one thing if he was... the last turn, Richard was doing something, even a second copy of Courser of Krufix, let's say.
Well,
I could see being willing to be this conservative.
Klomparens is not nothing.
Well, it's sort of nothing on this board. It's all it can do is attack right now because there's nowhere near enough mana to fight this Mantis Rider. It's not blocking anything. So, yeah, it gets to attack for 5, but that's not what this game's about right now. Richard needs to stabilize the damage he's taking as soon as possible.
Sure. Yeah, it's not what it's about now. Although, honestly, I think before that Lightning Strike happened at Richard's last end step, maybe that's what the game was about.
The thing is,
all it took was just one 3-damage spell to really kind of show you what was actually going on.
But, I mean, Jadine passed the last turn.
Right. With
3 mana up, it's not inconceivable her hand just has a lot of burn spells.
Quite likely, I would think.
Right.
And
I mean, Richard got fairly unlucky here that he wasn't able to find a land in these 3 shots with the shuffle and the draw step and so forth. But Now he's in a lot of trouble.
Well, he's not in any trouble if that Storm Wrath Dragon actually sticks, which it appears to have resolved. So that's step one.
Well, the question is, where are cards in Jadine's hand that you're beating at this stage? Like getting burned out, probably can't beat. Oh my God.
That's pretty
Definitely not beating that.
Okay. And we got a reader. And to be fair, that makes at least two of us, because I'm not positive what that card does.
No, I only know this because Jadine did this the first time we had her on camera. So.
All right. So this is, basically you are directing damage from any one source to the face of your opponent.
And this makes the Pellucranos play even worse.
It's like what one card could deal 5 damage?
Right.
Oh, I get it now. Yeah, that was pretty good.
Jadine's been putting in some real work with this card so far. I mean, this is not a matchup that I would anticipate it being good in. It's the mono black aggro list you put it in against I would not have anticipated, but it was awesome there.
Yeah, gonna close him out. Drop you to 5 with Deflecting Palm, end step Lightning Strike, untap, more burn. GG.
Wow. That was impressive.
Yeah.
Deflecting Pain, get him now. Before everyone else figures out what's up.
Deflecting Palm, the actual answer. Deflecting Pain, the